Hey everyone, I'm saying hi from Orlando because I am at Unreal Fest, where yesterday Epic had its keynote called State of Unreal, and that was opened with a huge presentation of the tech demo of The Witcher 4. Now, I'm sure there's some great lore analysis already online, stuff like background information on Cover, on Lan Exeter, why Ciri riding Kelpie is meaningful, that end shot of the demo that is a parallel to a Night to Remember trailer for The Witcher 3 that actually highlights the contrast between Geralt and Ciri. I mean, there's a huge lot to unpack here. If Neon Knight didn't yet post anything, he's probably working on it as we speak, so dude, I hope it's going to be there. However, I have something different for you today. I talked to the devs from CD Projekt Red and Epic, and hopefully I have some more context for that Witcher 4 presentation to better understand what we actually saw. Sometimes I'll throw in some additional commentary from me to provide a little bit of context, but generally I will let my guests speak. Sorry for the audio in the interview, it is what it is, but these are the conditions at the event. I still think it'll be worth your time, so let's begin. I know this might be a bit boring to start with, but we need to set one thing clear. What we saw yesterday was not gameplay, and I know there's a lot of SEO stuff and headlines saying that it was gameplay. No, it was not gameplay. The presentation was a tech demo, and it's important to understand what that means, so I will let my guests explain.
So a technical demo is a specific piece of content created or specific piece of a specific project, let's say, created to showcase and develop technologies for engine and therefore for the future game, right? So this is not taken from the game directly. This is not gameplay. It doesn't include our gameplay mechanics. Doesn't have combat and all of that, right? To build this technology and to showcase it, you need to have assets, right? And you need to show it somehow, right? So that's why we're using assets from actual Witcher 4, right? And we are using the characters like Ciri, our protagonist, and the region of Kovir, which is a new region that will be in Witcher 4, and we consider this.
You can finally say it.
Yeah,
it will be there.
But I'm looking at it because I'm like, we consider this a great opportunity to show something more, right?
Yeah, because it's like pushing technology requires some context, right? And like for us, of course, pushing it using context of the game that we are working on, that's obvious. That's an obvious choice. And also, like as a CD project, we couldn't pass this opportunity to actually have our signature move on top of it and have a little bit of narration, a little bit of some, artistic, creative choices that are there for our fans to see. And as Janek mentioned, one of it is Kovir and Lan Exeter, bustling city there, that are going to be in the game, and we are happy about it.
Okay, a tech demo then. A piece of content that uses the assets from the actual game and the technology that is being implemented in the game, but not in its full finalized form yet. No combat there yet, no UI, also the parts that were there to indeed showcase the tech, like this X-ray vision on Kelpie's muscles or the nanite foliage highlights. These are obviously a giveaway that it's not yet complete. But okay, how much is this wishful thinking? And how much is it something that we can expect in a few years when the game comes out?
So from our side, this demo, it's running on standard PlayStation 5 at 60 FPS, right? As actual console was there backstage, right? Kaitek was actually playing on it, right? You could see pad in his hands. He was actually operating the demo. So is this tech real? Yes, it is real, right? It exists, right? But again, the demo is a showcase of those technologies, and we are still early in our production. We're still early in our development process. That's why we did it. We wanted to create this technology, to have a place to do an R&D together, to push this forward together, so that we can use it in the game. What exactly will be in the game is still a few years out, and with a partner like that, who knows what kind of technology we can still develop and put in there. As
a creator, you want to have a broad tool set that allows you to create things that you design, or your art or your design choices and so on. And this kind of demo actually broadens our toolset, and that's great because right now we know that some things that were not possible before the cooperation happened are now possible, and we can plan how we'll be utilizing it.
I'm sure you guys also noticed that it was highlighted that the game is running on PS5 at 60 FPS with ray tracing on, but there was no mention of the resolution anywhere. So obviously I had to ask about that.
So I think from Epic's perspective, resolution isn't that interesting because what you actually need to understand is image quality. And so regardless of what happens behind the scenes, whether you use these temporal upscalers, and we have amazing technology in Unreal that does that work, at the end of the day, the whole image needs to feel cohesive, and it needs, in the case of Project Red, needs to feel like The Witcher. And they have their own particular vibe, their own particular aesthetic, their own particular needs for the engine, which are not necessarily 100% the needs of every other licensee. And that's great, that's okay. That's why we give people tools and not art direction. And so we are far less interested in the specs. We want the experience to feel incredibly fluid, incredibly performant, and to look amazing. And I really believe that we did that.
Yeah. So the video saw was upscaled to 4K, right? But you know, what we also wanted to showcase here is that we are able to achieve a smooth 60 FPS, right? So there is a dynamic resolution, yes, so the resolution can go up and down a little bit, but I have to say I think we are more than happy with where we actually landed with this one.
Thanks to the article at GameStar, I can actually share that the game was running at 900p that was then upscaled to 1440p using temporal super resolution that Unreal Engine offers. Does it mean that the game runs badly then? Absolutely not. This game is nowhere near ready yet. There's no such thing as final optimization happening because we are still too far from release. Besides, did you actually notice that it was not native 4K? I'm sure we'll be dissecting the game's performance once it's out, but it's not yet. So I think it looked pretty good. Anyway, one more thing about that demo is how long it actually took to put that one together.
You know, the production process is not equal in phases, right? So I think we started about a year ago, but that was a, you could say on this particular project, this particular demo, like more of a pre-production, so figuring out what the scope, what we actually want to put in there, what is out of scope, and what we don't want to attack with this demo, and then we're ramping up, and I think from the really beginning of this year, it was a ramp up to the finish line, right?
Okay, so I mentioned Cover before. This is the first confirmation of a land that we'll actually visit in The Witcher 4, apart from the village of Stromford from the reveal trailer that back then was still in the middle of, we'll tell you later where that is. So, anything more we can know about Kovir under the cautious looks of PR people listening to me asking that question?
This is a land that is like region that is like far up north in the world of the Witcher, and as you have seen, like it's like mountainous, it's like full of dense nature and difficult terrain. It's cold. And it also has this unique visuals to it that you could have seen during the opening vista shot that actually portrays our artistic approach to this region, I would say, pretty well.
One additional thing to this is that Kovir has this like natural environment and a very dense spruce forest that you were able to see today, right? Which are signature of what we are showing today, and that was an excellent use case and an excellent case to build a technology like nanite foliage around it, right? Because really, if we can do the spruce forest of this density and this amount of polygons, then pretty much you can do majority of other flora types, really.
Let's do the hard thing first.
Some big words were thrown around today during the presentation that you might not be familiar with if you're not a game developer. For example, fast geometry streaming means nothing without the end result of this plugin making the open world load faster. I can say that an ML deformer is a machine learning powered deformer that approximates complex mesh deformations in real time, speeding up character animation and rigging workflows by learning from animation sequences or simulated data and then applying those learned deformations to a character at runtime, which in turn allows for creating visually convincing deformations like muscle and cloth movement without the need for computationally expensive simulation that eat up resources of your hardware. Damn it, that was a difficult string of phrases. Now, why would you care about the details of motion matching or how nanite foliage actually improves the looks of the forests if you're just a gamer? Well, there is one reason.
If you were to just, pick one word, you're asking, hey, what is Unreal 5.6 about? It's about performance. And performance enables all kinds of things. And there's performance from the experience of the gamer, and that's critically important. It has to feel good when you pick up a controller. But also, performance is a supercharger for efficiency, development efficiency. The easier it is to make things, and the less burdensome the engine is underneath you, that scaffolding is strong, the more playful and expressive you can be with adding things that make your game instead of just feeling like Unreal. And that's such an amazingly important thing for us, and was something that we were kind of so excited to have fall out of this collaboration, is just a laser focus on performance in all these different categories: foliage, skeletal mesh rendering, skeletal mesh animation systems, hundreds of NPCs, amazing AI, smart objects. Like, they're all, no matter which thing you name, at the end result is they're faster. And we're thrilled that was the outcome of this collaboration.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. The performance is the name of the game here. I might have my own personal favorite, which is, I think, like that for me, that would be nanite foliage, right? Because it's like a very smart way. It was done in a very collaborative way. And there was a lot of really insanely good R&D on the Epic side. There was a lot of good back and forth between our teams, and Nanite and this. The other part of this is like really smart way on how to stay within the PS5 memory budget with this density. So that might be my personal favorite. But all of those features really contribute to this overarching main goal, which is staple Unreal's visuals on consoles with the scale of open world that we are doing pretty much, right? And performing at 60.
The Witcher 4 marks a big change for CD Projekt Red because the studio moved away from its own Red engine that some people consider a visual staple to how CDPR's games look like. So I had to ask, what makes Unreal Engine better suited to this kind of work instead of Red Engine?
Each engine has its own strengths and, let's say, shortcomings, and I don't think it's fair to compare them as such, because it's not about that. Like, it's about making a strategic call of what you need, and that's something that we did on our side, that we were evaluating what should be the future of our game development in CDPR Red. And after a lot of discussions and research, we decided to cooperate with Epic and to work on Unreal Engine 5. We are working on the things that we believe needs to be developed, and we are super happy to have this cooperation that makes it possible to happen. And we can use the strengths of this engine as well. Like, so, I'm a cinematic director, so for me, Sequencer is like a dream come true, and I'm super happy because also the intro cinematic that you saw during the presentation is also running on PS5 in 60 FPS, and we were able to assemble it using like Sequencer, just an amazing cinematic toolset that is there in Epic's Unreal Engine for a long time. It's being improved with every iteration, I believe. So yeah, so that's my personal pick. But in the end, I would say that just suits our strategy, and we are convinced that that's a good choice and that's a good path to follow.
Unreal Engine prides itself on a really nice facial capture with MetaHuman. I'm sure you've seen presentations of this everywhere. However, CDPR did a huge leap forward with Cyberpunk 2077 by introducing Jolly tech that made facial animation really good, and it helped with matching the facial movement to the language that the game was in. So if you had Judy speaking in Polish or in English or German, all the lips movement would look differently to match the sound that she makes. So obviously, I asked about The Witcher 4 in that context.
So in this demo, we are not using Jolly, but there is one presentation during Unreal Fest that will touch the topic of lip sync using the scene from the presentation. But I think I think it happens on Thursday, so we won't spoil the fun, right? We won't spoil the fun. But yeah, like this is also, of course, this is something that we are talking about, localization and actually being able to create scenes that are, let's say, suited for different languages, and that's also part of the discussions we are having. But whether we will be using Jolly or different solutions, that's still too early to say. We will be always choosing the right tool for the right job, and that's our approach.
But we actually used and you run this, right? So the performance capture pipeline,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So those are actually recorded facial performances of our actors.
Yes,
and
using MetaHuman animator.
Yeah, and I think it shows, right?
I'm sure you noticed how interactive with the environment Siri was. You know, holding out her hand when walking on the rocks, or that interaction with the villager and, you know, the apples falling down on the ground. For such a, well, maybe not a short one, but a medium-length demo, it seemed like there was a lot of that. So does this mean that this is the level of interactivity that the character model will have with the world?
What we are showing in the demo, like the demo is crafted in a way to work as a test ground and to showcase, first of all, work as a test ground for those technologies and show those technologies, right? So, for example, the squeeze you've seen, like touching the rock, etc., etc. We use that also as a test for the motion matching entries into places like that, right? And also how we can add a additional layer of decoration, like the animation decorations on top of locomotion, right? So this is much I can say about the demo, right? And that's the reason it's there, right? It's not there to showcase, hey, it will be in the game 100%. It's not there to show the game mechanic. It's there to show the tech and work as a use case, right? But I agree, it's cool.
In case you're wondering why CD Projekt Red was even at the Epic's event, we need to look back to 2022 when a partnership between the studio and Epic Games was announced. That partnership meant not only using the engine, but also proper research and development, advancement in technology that others will then benefit from, and I mean other game developers. So how does that actually work?
So for us, we have areas that we believe we should head in with Unreal. And Unreal is vast, it's a whole ecosystem. There's all these different industries and so on. And so we're always making our best guess where we think we should head. And usually that's a pretty well-educated guess. But partnerships like this supercharge it, right? Because we are never going to be able to necessarily push as hard as a, multiple decade veteran AAA open world superpower, right? And so we get to basically have our philosophy and our ideas challenged and validated by the best in the business. And so it just, it takes the time to achieve quality way, way, way down. So even in the last 4 or 5 months, what we've been able to improve in Unreal Engine is incredible.
Yeah, and for us it means to have a technological partner that shares our ambition and our vision for redefining and what really the let's say modern open world should be and should include, right? That also means a great engineering support. We have amazing engineers on our side, but with engineers like on Epic, that's sky's the limit really with this one. So this is really what this partnership gives us. I think we had a lot of good discussions on how to create content, what is the best pipeline, but also some cooperation on the code side. So, so we are bringing expertise and we are bringing our unique way of doing content and storytelling to the table here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. I know you'd like me to ask about series combat abilities, the size of the open world, or the types of monsters we'll see in the game, apart from the Bauk we saw in December or the Manticore that we saw right now. I know I would love to ask those questions too, but I couldn't ask about those things today, although don't worry. When the time is right, I will. So hopefully you will also be here to see that. Let me end this video with a really dumb question that I just had to ask that actually has a hidden meaning, and the devs got it. Do you get it though? Thank you for watching, take care. Quick one, we had roach on the roof and will we have kelpie in the water?
Oh wow, that's a good question.
And that's a clever one as well.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, okay, now I got it.
That took me a while.
That's a good one. Yeah, so, okay, too early to talk about that, but yeah, like, if you mention Kelpie, I just have to say, like, we're super happy and proud of how Kelpie looks and how all the animations and control of Kelpie is, so yeah, we are happy to present her to the audience.